Ladies and gentlemen, everyone should be taking out their notebook. We are going to transition very quickly. We are using our boards today. Friendly reminder, your assignments are due at 8:30 tomorrow morning. So you might as well live that stress-free lifestyle and submit them now if you haven't done it already. Keep in mind, I have your primaries, so you're not submitting that because I already posted them. You should have already submitted your map. Oh my God, that was a huge topic of conversation. You have a test tomorrow whether you complain about your primary score or not. So, okay. And your focus is due by 8:30 tomorrow morning. Everyone is clear, yes? There is a hard cutoff. So make sure you have it in. Let's do it, guys. How fun. So on Friday, we talked about the rise of economic problems throughout all of Europe due to the Treaty of Versailles and these reparations. We talked about Joseph Stalin taking over in power, doing all of these things, how he is not a true believer in communism, but is going to use the communism name in order to make himself a stronger leader. We're going to jump to Mexico real quick, and then we're going to get into the rise of fascism. So, Mexico is chaotic. Okay? They are having a lot of problems. And a lot of it is going to stem back to the Institutional Revolutionary Party, which we created last week. Okay? This party is going to be in power until 2002. So they're a big thing. You need to know a couple things. Does anyone remember anything about them? They are super, super what? Corrupt. And that is a huge component. Keep in mind, they are going to be selling land for Mexican peasants to corporations from America. And who is going to be taking complete and utter advantage of it? And who is going to be incredibly hurt by it? Mexicans, absolutely. Okay? So please keep that in mind. Now, you need to know that it is going to be Lorenzo Cárdenas who is going to improve the condition for Mexicans. Okay? He is actually going to make some improvements to Mexico by doing a land reform. Okay? Now, what does that mean? He is going to give some land back to the peasants and away from the corporations. Keep in mind, when land is in Mexican hands, the money stays in Mexico. But if corporations own the land, where does all the money go? Goes to America. Okay? So, good for us, bad for them. Okay? We're obviously looking from it from the Mexican perspective. Now, a couple things you do need to know is he is going to nationalize the oil industry, which means the government takes control over all of oil production. There are positives and negatives to this. You need to understand that. At this point in your life, you know that there are good things and bad things that come from the same decision, yes? Okay? When a government takes over an oil industry, it's going to stagnate the prices. The prices are going to be much more fixed or controlled. The problem is, with corruption, you can essentially hold a whole country hostage. Okay, so if the government becomes too corrupt, then those oil prices are going to become too high, and that's what you see most times when countries have nationalized oil. What do you think is going to happen in Mexico? Is this going to go well for them or poorly? It's going to go poorly. In the 1960s, the prices are going to be so high in Mexico, and it's going to cause absolute utter chaos. However, there's good things and bad things. Originally, it was a good thing. Stagnated the price of oil, gave it much more access. Unfortunately, that power is going to go corrupt and be abused. Okay, you also need to know that all of this is done to help the Mexican people. That's a huge thing, and it's going to upset the corporate interests. Okay, so Cárdenas is honestly a good Mexican citizen who is doing well by his people. Unfortunately, how do you think this is going to go long term? It's going to go bad because the corporate interests, the United States, are just going pay more money and get deeper corruption. So, ta-da. Alright, there you go. Alright, fascism! Fascism, 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 fascism. How funny that it is. Reemerged in the 2010s. Isn't that exciting? What a time. And by exciting, I mean, good go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Fascism. You need to know it is a new system of government. It is a government structure. It is extreme nationalism, where one has a deep devotion with lots of anger and aggression. Okay? You need to know that it glorifies the military. So it is based on the military. Everything about it is pro. There you go. Okay. You also need to know that it blames its problems on minorities. So that's good. Okay, so depending on what country you're in, those minorities change. Okay, in Germany, they're going to blame it on the Jews. There you go. And in Italy, they're going to blame it on the black Italians. So that's nice. In Spain, they're going to blame it on the Muslims as we go. Okay, you do need to know fascists are not communists. Fascists are not communist. You can't be both. Fascists are all about one dictator, one person is the leader of everything. It's a one party, one dictator. What do you got?
So was Stalin, he was a fascist though, right? He wasn't a true communist.
No, he's not a communist. He's not a communist. But he calls himself a communist because his country is communist. He's like, he's more of a czar than anything else. He's definitely not a fascist. But he really liked Hitler until, Hitler invaded. Small problems. Okay. Another thing you do need to know is that it is a one-party system. Everything else gets completely suppressed. Nothing to the contrary. So please keep in mind. Does it sound like a nice free place to live? No, absolutely not. Okay, so you need to know it starts in Italy. The creator of fascism is Benito Mussolini. Now, the most famous fascist is Hitler is a student in fascism who obviously will rise to surpass his teacher. However, the founder of fascism is Mussolini. Look at that guy. Oh, yeah. If we were in honors, I have a whole montage of the most amazing pictures of Mussolini because this guy is like a wackadoodle and is just hilarious. Because he's Italian, so he's super facial and hands and all that stuff. It's the best. And he also liked wearing tiny outfits. And so you're looking at him and you're like, where's the rest of his outfit? Because it's Mussolini. It's amazing. Anyway, okay, you do need to know they are going to be a Totaltarian Society. You need to put a box around it. You need to understand exactly what that is because that term is going to keep coming up. A Totaltarian Society is when the government controls every action. And they use secret polices to enforce the will. Dawson. Yes. Okay, they're a totalitarian state. Everything is completely dictated. You're literally concerned what comes out of your mouth at all times, correct? Okay, if we were in a totalitarian country, I would absolutely have been murdered by now. How often do I, make fun of the United States, right? And tell you all the terrible things they've done, right? I tell you that so you can improve it so we don't make those decisions again. But if we were in a totalitarian state, your girl would be hanging by a light post. Let me tell you. John. China is one. You, for instance, that tennis player who came out criticizing the government and saying she was raped by one of the high councils now disappeared. And no one really knows where she is. That is an example of a totalitarian state. Perfect example. Okay. Yeah, that's why people aren't going to the Olympics and why we're only sending 410 people and no broadcasts are going and all that stuff. is it called when you kill ethnic minority on purpose? Genocide. There's a genocide going on of the Mugars out in Central Asia. They're literally murdering Muslims in concentration camps, in mass deaths, just like Hitler. So yeah, there's some problems. What?
Is it like not televised? Like does nobody know?
No, everyone knows. Yeah, you can look at the satellite cams and you can like we know. Samantha Bennett knows, the world knows. Okay. Anyway, we got to get back to this. Okay. So you do need to know that fascism is based. The strength of a nation is based on its ability to conquer others. Okay, so you need to know Italy is going to conquer territory, and the League of Nations does nothing. So the first person to break the Treaty of Versailles outright is not Hitler. It's actually Japan. Japan conquers territory and they're not supposed to. But now everyone's like, it's Japan, who cares? And then Mussolini saw that they didn't do anything about Japan, and he's like, well, shit, I'm just going to go invade Ethiopia. And he invades Ethiopia. Why does he pick Ethiopia? They're the only African country to repel a European country during imperialism, and it embarrassed Italy, so they went to Ethiopia, and they killed 100,000 people in less than 2 hours. Yeah. Huh? No, they conquered. They were there for quite some time. They were there until the 1960s. But yeah, it's a big problem. And guess what the League of Nations does? Nothing. So Hitler, who is watching his beloved Mussolini, what is Hitler saying? Oh, I want to do that too. So he, after he sees Mussolini invade Ethiopia and nothing happens, Hitler's like, I'm going to build up my military. And guess what he does? And guess what the League of Nations does? He builds up an air force, which he was absolutely forbidden to. So what does the League of Nations do? Nothing. And then he looks at the Rhine and says, damn it, I want it back. So what does he do? Takes the Rhine. Now at the Rhine, he does get in trouble. And we're going to have a conference about it. But all right. So Spain is the next one. Okay. You need to know economically Spain is a hot damn mess. Okay? So mercantilism is going to hurt Spain really, really bad. That's the 1700s. The inflation is really, really bad in Spain. They cannot get their feet underneath them. So things are just bad in Spain. So when the Great Depression comes around, how is Spain looking? Oh, absolutely awful. Remember, they didn't fight in World War I. Why? Because they're a hot damn mess. So here we are back in Spain. You need to know that the Spanish Republic is going to take over. Okay, the Spanish Republic is going to be created in 1931. Guess what? It's fascist. You need to know the Spanish Republic is fascist, and it is led by Francisco Franco. Then,
why did Portugal fight?
Portugal has a little bit better of an economy, so they had the means to do it, and they weren't in the brink of complete epic chaos. What will be the Spanish Civil War. So their economy. Guys, when the economy is bad, people get desperate. We have a rise of fascism worldwide in 2010s to present day. Why? Is the economy super strong or is it very tumultuous? It's very tumultuous. Yesterday, the stock market plummeted 1,000 points and then came back at the end and resurged back to where it was. That's not common. It is incredibly tumultuous right now, which is why people are getting desperate and listening to these fascist leaders, which we're going to get to in a second, why people are listening. Okay, you do need to know that Franco is going to get the support of Germany and Mussolini. Okay, why are those countries coming to his aid? Because they're also fascist and they want the idea of fascism to come. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, during the Spanish Civil War, which is exactly what we're talking about, you're going to see more violence than ever before. This is going to be one of the most violent conflicts because of the weapons technology made post-World War I. We now have airplanes. that can drop things out of bomb bay doors. So what are we doing for the first time? We're doing large-scale bombing for the first time. We also have Hitler's Air Force, Luftwaffe, which is going to be able to fly in, bomb, and exit all within 15 minutes. So you can kill hundreds of thousands of people in 15 minutes, really for the first time. Okay? Carpet bombing, have you ever heard of that? When you just drop a ton of bombs and just wipe out a whole city, town, all of that. This is the first place. This is Hitler's practice ground, and you need to know that. Spain is a dress rehearsal for Hitler's blitzkrieg. This is where he hones his skills. Okay, this is where he reigns in blitzkrieg. 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 That is when you do high-level bombing, you roll in tanks, then your troops come in. And I will go through that again when we get there. Okay? Huh? It's blitzkrieg. It's high-level bombing, like planes are dropping bombs. Tanks roll in, soldiers occupy immediately after. Guys, they're going to take over the whole country in Poland and do it in 3 days. That's blitzkrieg. The fact that they can bomb it, roll in the tanks, and the occupation in 3 days, that's how fast it moves. Okay, you do need to know Franco is going to win the Spanish Civil War. Okay, and he's going to rule till 1975. Okay. However, Spain is not going to fight in World War II. They're going to offer some help and they're going to send some weapons and stuff, but they're not going to deal with it. Okay, Brazil. Okay. In Brazil, you need to know that the people are frustrated with the European-based system. Okay, you need to know that they're going to get frustrated and elect Vargas as president. Okay, Vargas is going to turn out to be a fascist. So, has fascism come to the West? The Western Hemisphere, yes. Okay, so Vargas is going to come in as president in Brazil. It's going to surprise people because he's running on pro-democracy and then he turns out to be a fascist once in power. Now, what is going to happen? He's going to receive help from Mussolini. Why is Mussolini helping him? Fascist. Remember, if it's only one country, as we saw yesterday in our primaries, is it easy for one country to be doing something all on its own? No. Okay? You need to have multiple. So Mussolini is helping this idea of fascism spread because it's easier. So you do need to know that he is going to implement Estado Nuevo. Sorry. New state. Which means Brazil is going to have government censorship over the press. Is that a good thing? Nope. You're going to see only one political party. Uh-oh. You're going to see the imprisonment of political opposition, hyper-nationalism, and violence. Today, in 2022, this is awfully familiar because they have a fascist leader back in power. He got elected in 2016. They had a little bit of a revolution, a little bit of a reprieve. They ended up kicking him out in the 80s, and there will be a democratic leader who will be put into power, and they'll do okay. But the economy in Brazil really sucks, and things are really hard. And it is very easy for democracies to lose power. Can we agree? Even here in the United States, I think no matter what side of the aisle you are on, we can see that democracy is shaking here in the United States a little bit, yes? If you are on Team Trump, you have this whole argument of an illegitimate election. If you're Team Biden, you're saying last week behind the seal of the United States, he said that our midterm elections are in jeopardy of being illegitimate. Holy crap, that's terrifying. Can we agree? So, what does that mean? It means we had one president who said an election was now, and now we have two presidents saying that some of our elections could be fraud. That's not a good thing, guys. If anything, a democracy relies on the faithfulness of its electoral process, but we don't have time to get into that. Here we go. Okay, we did this chart. It is very helpful. There's 3 major economies. Just listen. You don't need to write anything. I'll tell you what to write. You need to know that there are 3 major economies in play here. We have communism, capitalism, and fascism. They are all competing against each other. All 3 of them hate each other. All 3 of them are going to go to war. Who wins? Capitalism wins, but fascism is going to take one hell of a swing. Here we go. World War I! No, we're on resolved tension. So the failures of the Treaty of Versailles, that's what we'll write. Failures of the Treaty of Versailles. Let's go, let's go! Okay. I would just write TOV over and over again, ladies and gentlemen. If you write Treaty of Versailles out every single time, you're just going to want to punch yourself in the face. Okay, so you need to know that the Treaty of Versailles is going to take over colonial lands and give it to the Allies. Self-determination is dead. Okay? So, this is important for multiple reasons. The people of these colonies are pissed. Why are the natives of these colonies pissed? Why, Amelia?
They were told that they were free from war.
There you go. If they fought in the war, they were going to get rid of their colonial oppressors. Well, now that the war is over, what are the colonial oppressors doing? Yeah, they're staying around because they're like, ah, man, but we really need the resources. Ah, man, you guys were great, but we're good. We're going to hold on to you. Okay? Is that going to infuriate the people? Yes. Okay? That is going to be a huge problem. You're also going to see that there is going to be the mandate system implemented in the Middle East. And this is going to cause the complete fracture of the Middle East we see today. Have you ever looked at the Middle East and said, why can't they get their shit together? Europeans. That is why. The mandate system is why the chaos in the Middle East is what it is. Okay. You need to know there are going to be anti-colonial rebellions throughout all colonies. Okay? You need to know that there are going to be rebellions all the way through. None of them are going to be successful. But don't you dare think all of these, the people of Africa and Asia, are just sitting there saying, oh, gee whiz, how lucky are we? They're not. Okay, a couple things you do need to know. The big 3, you do need to be familiar with that term, is England, France, and the United States. Okay? England, France, and the United States. Now, there is going to be a couple countries that do get self-determination, and this is not going to be a surprise because they're only white countries. So, countries like Albania, Serbia, Greece, all of those countries get to be free. They get to experience self-determination. So if you are an African nation, how are you feeling about this? Yeah, incredibly upset, quite clearly. Okay, you do need to know that Woodrow Wilson, okay, is going to refuse to meet Ho Chi Minh. Oh my God, Ho Chi Minh, you should know that name. Ho Chi Minh is from what country? Vietnam, and eventually he will lead the liberation of Vietnam. Yes, you know, our first major loss after World War II. You do know we haven't won a war post-World War II, right? We've lost every conflict we've entered. Okay? We have literally not won anything since World War II. And it starts with Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh, so keep that in mind. All right, here we go. Okay, mandate system is what we're really going to focus on for a second. Actually, let's do some boards. Let's do some boards. Why? Did you say why, Brady?
No.
Lies, Brady. Lies. On your whiteboard, please tell me, who are the big three? Who are the big three, Elise? There you go. Brown and black nations around the world were denied what promise? That's a whiteboard question, Leslie. Macy. Self-determination. On your whiteboard, what country is the home of fascism? What is it? What is it, Elise? Who is the founder of fascism? Good. Isabel. Benito Mussolini. On your whiteboard, give me 3 fascist countries. Good. You should be able to give me 4. Let's do 4. Good. What do we got? Macy.
Italy, Germany, Mexico, Brazil.
No, Mexico's not. What do we got? Say it. On. I'm sorry. It makes me so nervous, though. I'm just going to say it. On. What do you got?
Brazil, Germany, Spain.
There you go. Italy, Brazil, Germany, Spain. On your whiteboard, please tell me what are my 3 economies that are now in direct conflict with each other? Good. What do we got? Emily.
Capitalism, communism, fascism.
Who is the fascist leader of Spain? Good. What do we got? Ellis. Franco. On your whiteboard, please tell me, what country is Italy going to invade in Africa as a proof that they have industrialized and it is straight up revenge? Natalie. Ethiopia. All right, let's go. Okay. You need to know, ladies and gentlemen, that the mandate system is going to be created under the League of Nations. Okay? Mandate system is imperialism 2.0. Okay? You need to know that the League of Nations says that colonies need to be led by advanced civilizations. Is that a good look? No. Needed tutelage or to be led by more advanced nations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the countries that benefit from the mandate system are France, Britain, Japan. So the U.S., we have a complicated relationship. We don't actually take land. We just send corporations. So they're not American controlled, but all the money is going to, so who's still benefiting directly? The United States. What do you got?
Who benefits?
England, France, Japan. Okay, you do need to know the Ottoman Empire is gone. Okay. And they are going to be divided into mandates. And they're going to shape countries similar to the modern day ones. Iran, Syria, all that stuff. Okay. Balfour Declaration. We've talked about it before. The Balfour Declaration says that Palestine should be the home of Jews, is going to become more popular. Okay? This idea is going to become more popular, so much so that Jews begin moving to Palestine without an actual Israel created. Is that going to cause problems? Yes, it causes a ton of problems.
Wait, how did that come from their like moving about?
Because it's not like they're moving to Palestine and then following the laws of Palestine. They're going to Palestine and creating their own government and spreading. That's the problem. So it's like China came to the United States and started in North Carolina and then just started spreading. That's obviously not a great look. Okay. India is your next heading. You need to know that India is going to want independence because India fought in World War I and India was promised self-determination. What do they get? Nothing. So we're going to have a guy named Gandhi. And yes, this is the Gandhi. Okay, he is going to start a thing called civil disobedience. His big thing is breaking unjust laws to create public outcry. It is all about, ladies and gentlemen, civil disobedience is about getting the world to see the crimes. Specifically, let's look at Martin Luther King Jr. and his civil disobedience here in the United States. You've seen the pictures, correct? Where you see teenage kids getting the shit beaten out of them by police officers, yes, for sitting on a stool. It is supposed to evoke this, what the hell is happening? The whole reason Gandhi did this is so it could be photographed. That's how advanced Gandhi is in comparison to everything else. He knew if Indians were just talking about it and dying because of it, it wasn't going to be enough. But if an Indian died while a photograph was taken and that photograph is shared worldwide, that would lead to a change. Isn't that brilliant? And it's exactly what it is. It is the public pressure from international community that will end the British control of India. Okay? Now, if this sounds awfully familiar, it's because MLK did the exact same thing here. Gandhi did it first. MLK did it about 20 years later. Okay, so when you talk about civil disobedience, it is breaking laws purposely to be photographed, and it's also boycotts. Okay? It is also to cost money. Disrupt to cost money. Okay? Because people don't like it if they're losing money. Okay? So, also displays or protests. And his first major one, of course, is the Salt March, where him and like 500,000 Muslim Indians walked to the ocean, picked up a grain of salt, and walked all the way back, the whole thing. Public displays so people can take a photograph and send it around the world. And people are like, what are they protesting about? Oh, they're protesting salt? Are you kidding me? They're doing all this? It's supposed to irk the rest of the world into asking questions. All right. Two-state solution. You need to put a big circle around this because this is going to keep coming up. The two-state solution. So, you need to know that India needs its independence. What to do with India once it gets rid of the British is the next question. There are two major religions in India, and what are they? Hinduism and Islam. And how well do they get along?
Not well.
They don't get along well. Keep in mind, this has been a big thing since Mahatma Gandhi forced himself into India and brought Islam. We have had a couple leaders who have done a pretty good job of unifying, but it's getting chaotic. So the two-state system is the belief that India should be divided into two countries. A Hindu, India, and a Muslim. What country is it? Pakistan. So does the two-state system win? Yes, because we have a Pakistan today. How is it going in India today? Terrible. They're also having a genocide. Muslim Indians are dying all throughout India. And we know that they're being murdered, and we're doing nothing about it. Good look, bad look. Bad look. Okay, so the two-state system. You need to know Gandhi opposed Gandhi opposed the two-system. Okay? However, he's going to fail on that account. Because it's obviously going to work out. Okay. You need to know China. Here we go. Is your next one. In China, you need to know that we have the May 4th movement. Okay? It is because of Chinese frustration of Allied help to Japan. China is pissed that Japan is doing whatever the hell they want to do. Is this a good thing for China or a bad thing? Bad thing, because the Japanese hate Chinese people. Not as much as Chinese people hate Japanese people today, though. Because the Japanese are going to do absolutely disgusting and abominable crimes to the Chinese. Which is why, if you call a Chinese person Japanese, they may slap you across the face. Because of the atrocious crimes that the Japanese are going to commit against Chinese. So keep that in mind. Okay, you need to know that the May 4th movement, see ya. I will do 2 videos today. Is that okay? Or do you want me just to post my lecture? Do you want a video or a lecture? Video? Okay, what? It's because the Chinese feel that the Japanese are getting away with everything. And are they?
Yeah.
They are.